Lamar Jackson, the heads off, I guess, Rob, the all-pro team in the NFL, and he is the first-team quarterback. No surprise there because he is likely to be voted the MVP, almost certainly going to be voted the MVP. Dak Prescott, second team, and Brock Purdy actually received – Brock Purdy and is it Dak Prescott got
right, both.
2 first-place votes. Josh Allen got 1. I'm sorry. I think Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I don't know how he got a first-place vote. But anyway, that's how it went. So Dak was second team. But Lamar Jackson, Rob, got 45 of a possible 50 votes. And so what I want to ask you, we both think he will win the MVP. You actually, to your credit, did pick him to be the MVP in your preseason. He was your pick, and you'll be right about that. Do you think he will be a unanimous MVP, which is big because only 2 people have done it? Tom Brady did it in 2010, and Lamar Jackson did it in 2019. He became the youngest ever to do it at age 23. But do you think he'll become the first ever to do it twice?
I think he will be unanimous. I think this indication, Chris, because remember we saw something like this too when it was Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't unanimous, but this vote kind of gives you a look at, what's probably going to happen. And I think people really saw, and I think what's going to be the difference for a lot of people was the big performance against the 49ers on Christmas night. I think that sealed it for him, Chris. Even people who are still trying to be on the fence about him and his impact, even though we've talked about it and the teams that they've beaten, all the good teams, won by 2 touchdowns or more, right? 7, I think they were 7-1 against those teams. Just the phenomenal games against them. But that was the showdown. I think that's when Lamar secured it, and he would be unbelievable. You talked about the other thing, that he already won it unanimous once, Chris, but if he's able to do that twice, and that would be 2 MVPs unanimous before age 27, that's incredible. You're rewriting the history books. I mean,
well, what it may do, and I mean, a lot of times you can be on a trajectory. I used to say that Russell Wilson was on a Hall of Fame trajectory and felt confident that he would be a Hall of Famer.
Especially because he had a Super Bowl under his belt, too, right?
And then obviously he had a huge drop off when he went to Denver. So bad, and he's not like too old. It was so bad that it probably took him off of that Hall of Fame trajectory. Lamar, Rob, if he's the unanimous MVP, or if he's just the MVP, he probably becomes a Hall of Famer. Like, he probably already would be a Hall of Famer. Now, if, next season, and I hate to even say something like this, but if next season he got hurt and was able to play but was never even, close to the same player and played for another 8 years or so but never was the same, okay, that could impact it. But I'll put it this way, Rob, if he wins the MVP, whether it's unanimous or not, if he retired or did suffer an injury where he couldn't play any longer after, say, next season, he'd be a Hall of Famer. I think even without the Super Bowl ring. I mean, 2 MVPs, one of them, if not both of them, unanimous, the only ever to do it unanimous twice, he'd be in. Gale Sayers had a short career.
Right.
And he's in.
I get it. And especially I think the point you're making is a fair one because he would have done something no one has ever done in the 90-year history of the NFL, or what is it, 100 years, Chris? 100 something
plus.
Years?
Yeah,
100 plus year history. No one's ever done this, what he has done and accomplished. And I just want, like, Chris, I know people saw Brock Purdy, and I know there was talk about Dak Prescott, he had a hot month and, put up some incredible numbers, and his name came to the forefront. But I think people should really recognize what Lamar and the impact he has. I know it's not always about gaudy numbers. We always talk about what do I always
it's not,
say.
Period, with him. I mean,
It's
his
just
numbers
not.
aren't gaudy.
Right. They're not
this
gaudy.
year.
No, they're not gaudy, and it's okay. And
They
Chris,
were gaudy his first MVP.
Yeah.
In his way. They weren't. He still didn't throw for even 4,000 yards. But they were gaudy in his way because he had the rush touchdowns. He had 36 passing touchdowns in not a ton of attempts. So his TD percentage was huge. So you're right. I will say this, though. I may be wrong, and I'm throwing that out there. But I don't think it's going to be unanimous. I think Dak Prescott's going to get a few votes.
I don't. I think Dak's performances, Chris, against the better teams, I think that hurts him. And
I think that's a big reason why I feel Lamar is over him. I'll give you that.
Yeah. I mean, don't you think that's what makes Lamar's season so incredible? It ain't like he beat up on Chris, snuck by a few teams. He didn't do that great offensively. The defense, it was all about the defense. And the defense is tremendous. So I'm not
historic.
It's tremendous. So I'm not saying that. But he still has been able to and would you agree with me on the Christmas night game? Like how important that was for just people, everybody watching.
But my point, see, the voters are that's not going to affect the voters.
No. I'm just saying, but it
might affect the general public, but those aren't the ones who are voting.
Yeah, but I'm saying the stage of it. I just think that's a night when everybody's watching. Everybody, like even the voters. Like it's like the marquee game of the year. I don't know. I just thought it was important because of where Brock Purdy was in his season, Chris.
Well, at that
where
point,
the 49ers,
Purdy was right there.
Right, where the 49ers were, had they demolished Baltimore and beaten, and beating the Ravens and whatnot, it would have been a different story.
No. Like I said, that put him in the driver's seat of the MVP. But Dak has had the best numbers this season. It was Purdy at one point. But Dak led the league in touchdowns, 36. He led it by 4. And only had 9 interceptions, was third in passer rating, was in the top 5, I believe, in yards per game, or top 6, right there. Right up there, if not at the top of completion percentage. He did lead in completion percentage. Threw for 4,500 yards. The team won 12 games. He had some good games against some good teams, but some bad games too. And the road record, obviously, they didn't get done. And his numbers dropped for the most part on the road. So those are some of the reasons that I think Lamar deserves it over him, Rob. But I do think, and it might be, and I'm not saying they're biased, but they just, they see him and they know how he led Dallas to a great season. Maybe it's the Dallas writer or two.
Yeah,
but I think
it could be.
I think he'll get a few votes.
Don't you remember when the Aaron Judge, wasn't it the 2 Angel writers? Remember that? Who did? So you could be right. You remember that? They voted for Ohtani. Everybody else in the country voted for Aaron Judge.
Because I bet you if we got, and I might be wrong again, but our boy Newey Scruggs, in fact, he'd be texting me every time Dak does something. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Because we've been on his case, though. You know that. We've been on his case about Dak.
Yeah. But he may think Dak is MVP. But anyway,